This video is for athletes or parents of athletes who want to unlock the secrets of confidence that no one talks about because maybe they've tried books, other programs, watching some YouTube videos, listening to podcasts, but nothing has stuck yet. And you're frustrated because you know there's a level to unlock within yourself, but there's this gap that you just can't seem to close because you let nervousness, perfectionism, self-criticism, feelings of inadequacy, maybe lack of motivation hold you back, keep you stuck, bring you down, and you want to break through that for the rest of your life. Well, in this video, I'm going to unlock those secrets for you that if you don't watch this video, no one is going to teach you what I'm about to teach you here because of the perspective that I bring to you guys on this whole mental performance, mindset growth, confidence strengthening topic. So I want to start here in Genesis 1. What's so amazing in Genesis 1 is God literally lays out exactly how we are to create anything. So as athletes, we always say, like, I want to grow, I want to get better. I want more confidence. Well, in order to do that, we need to create. We need to go and build. To build, we need to create. We need to strengthen. We need to develop. And what's so amazing is God created the very fabric of our world day to day in a perfect system, in a sequence of events, perfectly and divinely orchestrated, and how he created the earth, he created us, he created the universe, he created the heavens. He did it in a system. So it's also interesting, if you really think about it, everything that we touch, feel, see, just in the way we live is run by systems, okay? The integumentary system, which I practiced about 12 times before this video, so I'm happy I actually got that done the first time. The integumentary system protects the body, regulates temperature, and senses the environment through our skin, hair, and nails. That's pretty cool. The nervous system controls and coordinates bodily functions, and our brain has more connections than there are stars in the galaxy, over 100 trillion synapses. Our respiratory system exchanges gases so we can breathe, and there are more tiny air sacs in our lungs than grains of sand in a handful. Photosynthesis. Plants' energy system converts sunlight into food energy. The food chain is a system of predators and producers or prey that transfers energy through the ecosystems from the producers of the prey to the predators. Wolves shape entire ecosystems by changing prey behavior and even river flow. So what's the point? The natural function of everything on Earth is to transform, create, grow, impact, influence, empower is done in systems. It's not random. Everything that we do is done in a system. Well, let's think business operations. Well, business operations must have systems. When you go to Chick-fil-A, no matter what Chick-fil-A you go to, you're going to get the same type of service and experience because they have systems. When you're not in a system, though, when you're not creating things in the proper way, when you're not building a foundation in the proper way, in the proper sequence, in the proper system, well, then what happens? Well, consequences happen. So I owned a gym for about 8 years, but I coached hundreds of athletes for a little over 14 years. Even when I was 17 years old, I filed my first LLC and I started my first company when I was 17 and started training kids because parents wanted me to work with their kids on the football field. And so doing that for so long, when I would do workouts, we would follow a system. See, I wouldn't just have kids come out to the football field and just start sprinting full speed. I wouldn't bring kids into my gym and just say, all right, guys, you can squat 400 pounds. Oh, you just came back from school? Okay, cool. Hop on the squat rack, put 400 pounds on, just get to it. No, I wouldn't do that because I'm setting them up for failure. I'm not warming them up. I'm not preparing them. I'm not giving them, empowering them to produce the result that we want to produce because there's a way in which we have to prepare ourselves to accomplish the task at hand. There needs to be a sequence. There needs to be a system. There needs to be an order. So instead, what I would do is bring them in and I would say, all right, what are your goals? I want to squat 300 pounds. I want to jump 35-inch vertical. I want to sprint this fast. Okay, great. Well, let's warm up. Let's do a warm up. Let's just see where you're at today. Let's have a conversation and see what your mindset's at today. Let's prepare you. Okay, now after the warm-up, let's go into some power development. Let's go do some plyometrics. Let's go do some box jumps. Let's go do some mechanical sprint drills. And then once you're prepared, let's go sprint. Let's get your nervous system ready to go. Let's get blood flowing. Let's get you producing power. And then after you sprint, now let's go get ready for the squat. But maybe you're a goblet squat starter. Maybe you're not ready for the back squat, or maybe you are ready for the back squat. Well, now let's warm up to go do the max back squat. Let's go prepare. Let's go warm up. Let's go see where you're at. Let's fix your form. Let's build a foundation. Let's make sure that we're locked into that. And then we'll go squat. Well, what would happen if I didn't do all that? Injury would happen. Lack of confidence would happen. Insecurity would happen. They could get seriously hurt. Or maybe they'd be okay for a while, but down the road, it's not going to be effective long term. See, when we don't follow systems in order, when we don't do things in the proper sequence, consequences happen. Imagine you go to a Chick-fil-A and it's an entirely different scenario, like as if you went to Popeyes. Now, some of you Popeyes people, that's cool. I went to Popeyes once, never going back again. I'm a Chick-fil-A guy through and through. But what would happen if the service didn't match? You'd be like, well, something's wrong here. So the attitudes are changed. Something's a little different. Something's out of whack here. Why? They're not following systems. So when we get to this idea of growing more confident, building self-belief, harvesting peace that God gives us freely, but we have to go and we have to harvest the peace. We need to work at it. We have to follow a system. Otherwise, if you're out of order, consequences happen. When the respiratory system isn't functioning properly, you struggle to breathe, like when you have asthma. When your nervous system breaks down, it can lead to being paralyzed or brain disorders. When the water cycle is out of whack, droughts or floods happen. So when you try to build a confident mind, disorderly or dysfunction systems will lead to frustration, anxious thoughts, paralysis, fear of risk, doubt in yourself, feelings of being inadequate. Even when you're trying to build the confidence. So mom and dad give you a book. Hey, read this book. Heard it's a good book. Read the book. And you're like, why am I reading this book? I don't even know what the point or purpose of reading this book is. Now what's going to happen, mom or dad, is that your son or daughter is just not going to feel more frustrated now because maybe they're reading the book to please you so you get off their back, but they're not even prepared to read the book in the first place. Or maybe that's not even the book for them. Or maybe you're like, I'll go listen to this podcast. Or I'll listen to this podcast. Or maybe some of you parents are watching this video and you're just giving it to your athlete. And you're like, hey, watch this video. This is really great for you. Well, if your son or daughter isn't prepared to receive, if the soil, listen to me, if the soil isn't prepared for the seed, well, then it's going to fall on rocky ground. It's going to fall on thorny ground. It's going to fall on ground that isn't ready to receive. We have to prepare the soil. We have to harvest the soil. We need to make sure that the soil is ready to receive. We have to make sure your son or daughter is ready to receive some of the inputs that you're giving them. That's why in our programs, we're selective. We're not selective in the way that we don't think that, we don't want to help you. No, we'll help anyone, but we can't help everyone because we have to make sure that they're ready to receive what we're giving them in order to go and accomplish the tasks at hand. That's why we have different services, different levels of our programs, so we can start to prepare the soil. This is why I produce this YouTube content, so we can start to prepare the soil for your son or daughter. So growing up, I'll give you an example. Growing up, I was a super talented athlete. I was the kid that was on the football field day and night, rain, sleet, snow. I was in the gym 3-4 hours a day during the summer. Like I was an absolute grinder. Like I remember working my junior year at McDonald's, and I would leave school, drive to the gym, crank out a workout for 2 hours, drive back from the gym, eat in between each drive, make sure I was getting all my calories in that day. I was so maniacal that I used to ask my teachers if I could go use the bathroom during school just so I could go to my locker and have a peanut butter and jelly and 2 or 3 hard-boiled eggs. I mean, I was obsessive over it. And I work at McDonald's, and I'd be in the back chugging protein shakes and maybe some other stuff I probably shouldn't have been eating in the back. But I was doing everything to get my calories in, and I was working my butt off, and I did everything I possibly could. And it was successful to a point. I was quarterback, I was captain, I was popular, I could, always had a girlfriend. I never partied or any of that type of stuff, but I was just always on the grind. On the outside, my success, my peers and some adults would say, wow, you're doing so great. And my older brother was successful. He was a Duke All-American, full scholarship athlete. My younger siblings were successful. And on the outside, everything would look good, but on the inside, there was hell. See, on the inside, there was a lot of anger. Anger at my parents' divorce. Angry at maybe me not going Division I. Angry that as a sibling, I felt like my parents didn't really see me because they were either too occupied with my older brother or too occupied with my younger siblings, where there's a 10-year age gap. So I was angry at that. I was angry at being isolated. I was just angry on the inside. But you would never guess. Angry at trauma that happened in my past. But you never guess, because on the outside, although I was successful, strong in the weight room, things look good. On the inside, The soil was hard. And so as I tried my way to build an identity, my identity just became the sport. My identity just became training. My identity just became the success and the performance. And so what would happen is, as I try to build an identity my way, I was forcing myself out of the system that God has created that leads to abundance, joy, and contentment and fulfillment. So then what happened? Well, then I get to college to play football, and I became someone totally different because my identity was so rooted in football that if football wasn't going well, or if football was going well, my character started to act out of alignment with what God had for me. So I started making friends with maybe the wrong friend group with me, or maybe I started drinking a little too much or doing this a little too much that I shouldn't have been doing. I started to fall out of line of God's plan or purpose for me. And what did that lead to? Well, it led to depression, led to anxiety. It led to things that I would never want my sons to experience. See, we can look outwardly, I mean, maybe this is speaking to some of you athletes out there, on outwardly, like we have it all together, where inwardly we're a mess. Maybe mom or dad are in the middle of a divorce and you're at a mess. Maybe your parents are way past the divorce and you live with your mom part-time and dad part-time, but every time you go to your dad's house, your dad acts like you're not even there. Or maybe it's the other way around. Maybe you live with your dad, but every time you go to your mom's house, mom acts like you're not even there. I remember working with an athlete about 6 months ago who barely knew his dad. His dad would come and go and in and out of his life forever. Would be, was homeless, and it was just a very painful experience for this young man. This young man was about 14 years old, and every time we talk about it, he would cry. And then he lived with his grandmother, and his mother lived with the grandmother too in the basement. And he would say how he would live with the grandmother, but the mother would never even leave the basement and would pretend like he didn't even exist. So this is a young man who's living in the same house as his mother and grandmother, but his mother doesn't even acknowledge him. And so I ask myself and think to myself, what are some things that these young men or women, what are some things that you guys are experiencing that no one would ever even know? But when you go into your room and shut the door and you're scrolling social media or you're doing whatever it is you're doing, it's just an escape for you. There's a mess going on inside. Maybe it doesn't even need to be that extreme. Maybe it's something shorter, like maybe you have older siblings who are super successful and your parents are super successful, and you're just trying to figure out where I'm trying to carve out my own success, but I don't even know what that looks like. But there's just this level, there's just this pain, there's just this process inside of you that's leading to more pain and not peace. But you want that peace of mind. You want to be able to work through that. So again, outwardly, we can have it all together, where inwardly we're a mess. We want to build this confidence. We want to build this self-belief. We want to go and execute. We want to go perform. We want to go D1. We want to go do all these things. Maybe you're in college. You're trying to figure out the next plan, next purpose, the next path for you. But we don't know how to do this. We're confused. Well, that's why I created my faith-filled mindset system, because I realized through my story that you just heard that there's a system, there's an order, there's a specific way we have to build our mental health, emotional health, and our security in Christ. So I'm going to show you guys now, explain now, the system so you can begin working on it. There's 5 main struggles, okay? There's 5 main struggles that people deal with, okay? That the athletes deal with, that high performers deal with. And based on these 5 main struggles dictates and determines what we need to work on, how we need to work on it, and the system that we need to work through in order to break through in our mindset and in our life and in our belief to go achieve the highest levels of success that you want to achieve. And I'm not just talking about sports. I'm talking about beyond sports. I'm talking about you starting that business one day. I'm talking about you working in that job one day, but transforming that job one day, being a trailblazer, being a missionary, being a pastor, planting a church, but doing it at the level that God has for you, not a level that man is trying to keep you at. Let me say that again. So you can go accomplish these things at the level that God has prepared, predestined, planned for you, and not at a level that man is just trying to keep you at. See, that's critical there. The 5 main struggles, the 5 main categories that we deal with, number 1 is self-criticism. Self-criticism is when they're very negative critics of themselves. You beat themselves up and always demand more in a non-healthy way. That's one struggle. Another struggle is perfectionism. The people put unnecessary pressure on themselves to be great and achieve excellence. And if they don't feel like they've achieved that, they feel like they suck. And in the kids' words, I suck. Inadequacy is another struggle. No matter how well they do, they still feel like they're not good enough. Motivation, they're constantly up and down in their action and focus or purpose. They have no idea why they're doing all of this, so they just do it, but with no real intentional effort and desire to become great. So again, these are 5 of the main things, main categories, main struggles that we deal with. And then depending on the struggle, will determine what we need to work on and the order in which we need to work on. See, there's a plan and there's process, and then there's time that has to take place for us to then reap what we sow in due time and go grab the grain, go grab the harvest when it's prepared and when it's ready. So let me go back to the systems. Depending on which struggle they're mainly dealing with will dictate the order, the system of mental training that they must do. I'm not going to get into all the specifics of all the struggles, because for that, I recommend signing up for my Faith-Filled Athlete Challenge, which is a 5-day live online experience where you will get access to me live for 1 to 2 hours, depending on the level of ticket that you purchase. But for 5 days, we go deep on this and we actually work through this. So you can get the link down in the description. I highly, highly, highly recommend you sign up for that. If you're watching this, you're like, man, this is what I want. This is what I need. Parents, kids, sign up for that. And I highly recommend that. So I'm not going to go into all the details because we'd be here for hours. So go to that challenge there in the description below. But I'm going to show you what I call the playbook. See, when I played defensive back in college, we had a playbook. And it was a little different of a playbook from high school to college, right? High school, you got like cover 0, cover 2, cover 4, and like that's about it, right? And then man-to-man and press. Like that's it, like most basic stuff. Well, in college, we had a playbook about this thick just for the DBs on all these different coverages, and then 3 to 4 to 5 different checks, different variations of that coverage depending on what wide receiver was lined up here. Was it their starter? Were they in trips? Were they in spread? Were they in were they in tight end flank? Were they in flank? Where's the running back? Is the running back on this side or is the running back on this side? Is this guard on this side or this side? Depending on literally all these variations, dependent on what play that we would run. Why? Because if we were set up properly, if we were prepared properly, then it doesn't matter what play they run. We are best positioned and poised to perform at our highest level and defend that play. And so it just so happened for year after year after year, we were one of the top ranked defenses in the country, Division III, Division II, and Division I, because we had a playbook that was designed and we trained intentionally and intensely on that playbook to then go run the plays against that offense to make sure they didn't score. To make sure that like we kept them to as little of production as possible. See, if you want to eliminate or limit self-doubt, you have to run the right plays to defend against that self-doubt. And if you don't run the right plays, well, then self-doubt is going to win and overtake you. And they're going to be sitting there wondering, man, why do I feel so inadequate? Why do I feel like I just can't accomplish this thing? Why do I feel like I'm out of focus? Because you're not running the right plays. You're not running the right systems. You need to build the right processes. You need to do things in the proper order and do them when duty calls. And that's why I have the playbook and the 12 plays that we run month to month to win the championship of defeating doubt and anxiety forever. Well, what are these 12 plays? Well, the 12 plays, play number 1, and now this is in no specific order, because depending, again, on the main struggle, we have to do this in order to make sure we're running the right play at the right time, because if we don't run the right play at the right time, well, then when something happens in life to us, we're not going to be prepared to defend against it. So we need to do it at the right time, okay? So, again, no specific order, but the 12 plays are trusting the process over perfection. This is when parents talk about, I just tell my son or daughter, just trust God, just trust his plan. Well, does your son or daughter even understand or know what the plan is? They probably don't even understand what you mean when you say trust God's plan. So this is where we have to get into the Word. We have to develop a more deeper understanding and start working through our worksheets and getting them to reflect and think about what God's plan might be for them by looking at their characteristics, their abilities, their talents, the unique skills they have, the unique experience in life that they've been a part of. We need to dig deeper into sense of self. Number 2, second place, failing upward. Well, pretty self-explanatory. Being able to fail, but the fail calls us up. The failures don't call us out. It doesn't expose us. Failures don't expose us. Failures call us up. Failures show us, man, there's so much more for you. Let's get better. Let's get better. Let's get better. Positive self-talk. Not just I can do this. I can do all things through Christ who strengthens me. Yeah, that's great. But let's think a little deeper. Let's really go deeper. Let's develop some systems. Let's develop some more tools to memorize some more scripture that speaks really to your heart, and some real positive affirmations that speak deeply about who you are, and develop some systems around positive self-talk and know which phrase, which verse to speak when, so much so that it's just imprinted into our heart. Number 4, surrendering control. This is a big one. See, it's not just trusting God's plan. It's also knowing when to surrender control. It's knowing when to say, you know what, God, I'm just going to let you work. I'm just going to go to the gym. I'm going to show up to practice. I'm going to do my thing. And I'm just going to surrender control. For some of you guys, it's stop setting goals for yourself to going D1. Stop setting goals for yourself to go pro. Instead of setting a goal, I tell my athletes all the time, don't obsess over the outcome. Don't obsess over the outcome. Be intentional over your inputs. If you want to perform at your highest possible level, if you want to achieve your highest, greatest desires in your life, surrender control to God and stop obsessing over outcomes and just be intentional over inputs. What does that mean? It means be present in the moment and present in today and accomplish what you need to accomplish today and let tomorrow worry about itself. Be anxious for nothing. Let tomorrow worry about itself. Focus on today. Do what you need to do today. Crush your workout today. You're worried about going D1 and you didn't even work out hard today. Work out hard today. Focus on what you need to today. And tomorrow will worry about itself. Surrendering control is a big one. Relentless, consistent action. Being relentless and being consistent. This is a tough one. Something that even I struggle with sometimes. Being relentless and being consistent. But that's where we have to dig deeper and run the right plays. Gratitude over criticism. Trusting God's bigger picture. Clarity of purpose. Purpose over pressure. Identity in Christ, not performance. Approval from God, not man, and gratitude equals perspective. So these are 12 plays that we run in my playbook where we dig deeper for a month on each play to develop some systems and develop some order of events and some sequences to run and function and actually be able to operate and create the confidence that we want to create. Again, going back to everything running in systems. But here's the thing. If you do these out of order, if you're not doing these properly, well, then your systems are going to be out of whack. And remember, when your systems are out of whack, consequences happen. Short-term and long-term consequences. And maybe the consequence is you always perform pretty good, but deep down inside, there's a whole nother level that you could perform at. And that could be a consequence that you can regret. And I'll tell you this right now. If I could go back, being in middle school, high school, listening to this now and doing this, I would be doing everything I possibly can to learn this system and apply it. Because I know I did not achieve my highest potential that God has for me. I don't regret anything in terms of his plan or purpose for me, but I can tell you what, post-college, when I started to really step out into my full potential, I realized how much I was missing, and then I needed to go on this path to developing this mental, this mindset, this confidence strength that gave me the ability to quit my corporate job doing commercial real estate to starting my companies. And now for the last 8+ years, I've been on a journey of really sharpening my skills of confidence, my skills of belief in myself in order to accomplish the highest calling that God has had for me. But I realized, man, what if I would have had this at 16 or 17 years old? How much pain and agony I could have avoided and how many more things I probably could have accomplished if I was aligned and in step with God. So I want you to think about it like this. We all live in our minds. So if you want to live in the mansion of mindset, and not be stuck in a poverty mindset, there's a specific order in which to build the foundation and then build everything around it. So if you're watching this and realizing, wow, this is exactly what I need. I've tried books, I've tried programs, coach. I want the faith-centered, Christ-centered approach to building my mental performance, to building my mindset. Or if you're a parent watching this and you're like, this is exactly what my son or daughter wants or needs, then I have 3 different offers for you depending on your level of commitment and desire to grow. Now, either one is going to be great. There's a free option. There's an investment option. But whatever one that you feel most comfortable, make that commitment. But there's different levels to it. Level 1 is free. Watch all my YouTube videos. Go to my Instagram at Coach Derek Ward. I'll put it here in the YouTube description and also in the video. And go watch the free content. Go prepare the soul. Go prepare your heart and mind understanding this stuff. And then sometimes I have free resources or opportunities for you guys to take advantage of. Number 2 is a lower commitment, but seriously will be one of the most pivotal investments that you can make. This has been life-changing for dozens and dozens and dozens of athletes that have taken advantage of this, but it's our faith-filled 5-day online challenge. This is a challenge where we're going to go deep. We're going to take action. It's going to be exciting. I'm bringing the gas. I'm bringing the energy on these calls. We're going to work so we can build this belief. You're going to leave that 5 days transformed, like completely ready to level up and inspired to go take action. So again, I'll put that link down in the YouTube description. I'll also put it here in the video. Sign up. Depending on when you sign up, there might be a special where you can get 20% off any of the tickets. There's even more discounts if you have multiple kids that do the challenge. Parents, yes, you're a part of this challenge too. I'll be giving you guys support, encouragement, and resources as well. And it's going to be an amazing online event for those 5 days. Number 3, if you're super committed and you're like, nah, we want to bypass all that. We need coaching. We want one-on-one help. We want to get in your insider group. We want to get into the Upward Athlete Academy. Well, head to faithfilledathlete.com, and there you can get all the full information and descriptions and our core beliefs and our faith statement, and hear from some of the athletes and their testimonials and parents and what they say. And this is our actual coaching program that ranges between $1,800 to $3,000 for 6 months. But this is why dozens and dozens of parents are ecstatic to make the investment, is because it's life-changing and life-transformative for the young men and young women that go and they're intentional in the program. So depending on what you want to do, I highly recommend you take advantage if you want to run the system, if you want to learn more about what we do, and you're ready, like you're ready to go level up. You're tired of being held back from fear, from doubt, from insecurity, from anxiety. I highly recommend you take advantage of this. So I appreciate you guys for watching this video. Please subscribe to the channel, share this with an athlete, a friend, a teammate, or a coach that needs to hear this, and I'll see you guys in the next video. Let's grow.